is Delilah. Welcome here. Welcome to A Day in My Life. This video was filmed in the midst of a very busy week. On Monday we had celebrated a birthday, which was so much fun. And then on the weekend we were preparing to go on a girls' trip. I was taking Eloise and Annabeth on a girls' trip. And then in between all of this, Zach was working like crazy this week. So it was just a whirlwind of a week, and I was working on catching up on stuff and trying to get a lot of things done this day. I'm a morning person and I thrive in the morning, so I love getting up before the rest of my family and getting my day started on a productive note, which always means laundry. I had the kids' stained clothes soaking in a mix of hot water and Branch Basics Oxygen Boost overnight. This helps so much with the stains. Most of the clothes that are soaking in there overnight I don't even really have to touch. I just kind of throw in the wash and they come out clean, but there are some stains that are more stubborn. And so for those stains, I will sprinkle more Oxygen Boost over top and give it a spray with the all-purpose spray from Branch Basics and let it sit for a minute before coming back and scrubbing it and then putting it through the wash. I still hadn't cleaned up from the birthday all that much, so we had decorations still laying around. That was one thing on my list of things to tackle today. But before I get to any of that, I first like to open my home for the day. So at the end of the day, the night before, I like to close my kitchen and get things closed for the night, and then in the morning, I like to open my home. And I do that by first opening the windows and letting that sunshine in. I'll make myself a cup of coffee as I kind of tidy up the kitchen. Any dishes that were left drying overnight, I'll put those away. I'll get some school stuff set out for the day. We are kind of done workbooks, but we're just doing a little bit extra to prepare ourselves for the next year. So we're still doing a little bit of school work. So I pulled those out and got those ready. Cleaned out the dishwasher. I just kind of get things ready so that when the kids wake up, I am ready to start breakfast and get the day going. I also like to plan my day, especially on busy weeks like this. I need my day planner. This one is from Golden Coil and I love it because it's customizable. It is expensive, but I love it so much that I've repurchased it for the last 3 years. I don't know what I would do without this thing. Often my mornings also start with some sort of meal prep. Often that means bread. And this morning was my first time trying to make bread with fresh milled flour. This is new for me. This is something I've wanted to try for a long time, but I didn't realize that it was a lot more complicated than I originally thought it was. And so I've done some research and very slowly I'm starting to get into this. So here I'm grinding some hard red wheat to practice making my sourdough sandwich bread recipe with. I'm also going to be making some sourdough burger buns today as well. So I was experimenting with a couple different recipes. Now because I still like my breads to be a little bit fluffy and because I want my kids to want to eat them, I'm doing half all-purpose flour and half freshly milled. That kind of gives me that compromise between fluffy and soft, but we're still getting lots of that nutrition from the freshly milled flour. I'm gonna leave links to these two recipes down below. The sandwich bread recipe is my own and I've been making it for at least a year now. I actually haven't bought bread from the grocery store in probably a year because I've been making all my bread at home and it's been wonderful. The bun recipe though is Sarah's recipe and it's really cool because it's a mix of sourdough but also yeast. So you get some of the benefits from the fermented dough, but you also get a quick rise from the yeast. One thing I noted with this is that my dough was a little bit more sticky initially, and I knew this because freshly milled flour takes a little bit more time to soak up any liquid. So I purposely left my doughs a little bit sticky so that the liquid would soak into the whole grains. And during that first rise, the flour really soaked up that moisture. Now at this point, all my kids are waking up for the day, and so it's time for me to get some breakfast started. William requested pancakes, as he often does, and I happened to have some in the freezer today because I had made some over the weekend. And so breakfast was really easy today. I just pulled some homemade pancakes out of the freezer, popped them into the toaster oven, and we were good to go. Now I had just gotten this new dress from sourdough, and it is beautiful. I've always wanted a Peter Pan collar, and sourdough skirts are the twirliest, prettiest skirts. It's so cute because whenever I get a new dress, Theo always asks me to twirl for him, and so that's what I was doing. I was showing him how well it twirled, and he was very impressed. He approved of this dress. If you're ever wondering what I'm doing, I'm probably doing dishes or vacuuming my kitchen floor. These two things I do so many times every single day. I am someone who likes to keep on top of things. I don't like the dishes to pile up in the sink. I don't like my floor to get full of crumbs and to stay full of crumbs throughout the day. And so with 4 kids and me doing a lot of cooking from home, I just gotta continually do this all day long. After breakfast is done and cleaned up, it is time to move on with the rest of our day. So the kids go and get themselves dressed. Of course, I get the youngest 2 dressed myself. This also includes a diaper change and some cuddles and sometimes a feed. I forgot to mention Zach was gone this day. Like, this was one of the days that he was gone for a long time, and so it's just me and the kiddos hanging out at home. The weather wasn't so great, so we were just having an inside day getting stuff done. After breakfast is done, the kids usually get into some sort of play. Because we had just had a birthday in our home, they're playing with some of their new toys and having lots of fun with that, which gave me a chance to start on my bun dough. I actually like to weigh my dough. That way my buns are the same size, they rise evenly, they bake evenly, they look nicer. Today was a day of laundry. I was really trying to catch up on stuff. After 7 years now of doing my kids' laundry and scrubbing out stains and trying all the different products and routines, I feel like I've finally got it nailed down. And so if this is something you'd like a more in-depth video about, let me know in the comments and I can definitely do that for you. Today was refill day. There were a number of my cleaning products that needed a refill, and my Brunch Basics order had just come in, and I had ordered an extra all-purpose glass bottle so that I could have one both in my bathroom as well as my kitchen. That way I'm not constantly running around the house when I want to grab my all-purpose spray. Today I was filling up my all-purpose spray bottles, a foaming hand soap, and both of my oxygen boost jars. Brunch Basics might just be my most favorite brand ever, and I want to say a huge thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. You've already seen me use Brunch Basics a number of times in this video, and that's because I reach for it all the time, every day. Brunch Basics is my all-time favorite toxic-free cleaner for many reasons. First of all, it works. In fact, this combo right here cleans better than any other toxic cleaner I've ever used. I use Oxygen Boost to tackle burnt-on food on my dishes and pots and pans. I use it for my white tile grout in my bathroom, and for all the tough stains on my kids' laundry, this stuff works. In fact, I use it so much that I actually have some stored in my kitchen underneath my sink, and then I also have some stored in my laundry room to tackle the stains on our laundry. But for everyday cleaning, the all-purpose concentrate does the trick. The second reason why I love this so much is because it's so multi-purpose. I've been able to replace my floor cleaner, my dish soap, my baby shampoo, my laundry detergent, glass cleaner. I've thrown out every cleaner in my home and have replaced it with this 1 bottle of concentrate. It says right here on the bottle that it makes 3 bottles of all-purpose cleaner, 3 bottles of streak-free glass cleaner, 3 bottles of bathroom cleaner, 3 bottles of foaming hand soap, and 1 bottle of laundry detergent. All you have to do is dilute the concentrate with a little bit of water. And these bottles are already marked with indicators of how much to fill with water, how much to fill with soap, and just like that you can clean your entire home with just 1 bottle of concentrate. But you can get so much more use out of this than just these cleaners right here. I use straight concentrate for my dish soap and it cleans incredibly well. In fact, my husband was just commenting the other day about how well this stuff works to get all the grease off of his hands after he's been working in the garage or after he's been working with meat. The cleaning power is insane. And the third reason why I love Branch Basics so much is because it really is toxic free. It says right here on the bottle that it is Leaping Bunny certified, it is Made Safe certified, and more. As a mom of 4, it is so important to me that the laundry detergent I'm using and the cleaners I'm using around them are safe for my babies. My kids are goofballs, as I'm sure many are, and I'm sure many moms can relate to the amount of times my children have licked the windows or sucked on things that aren't supposed to be sucked on, and I can rest assured that they are okay because the cleaner that I use to clean those is perfectly safe for them. For me, Branch Basics has been the perfect cleaning solution for myself and for my family. And if this sounds like something that you're interested in, I have a discount code for you. You can use my code LEPKEYSLIFE to get 15% off starter kits. Now they have a variety of starter kits to choose from. I personally have the premium starter kit in glass, so that's going to include a glass laundry bottle, a glass bathroom spray bottle, a glass all-purpose spray bottle, a glass streak-free spray bottle, a glass foaming hand soap dispenser, as well as a bottle of concentrate and a pack of Oxygen Boost so that you have everything that you need to get started cleaning your home toxic-free. And after the initial purchase, you can subscribe and save 10% on all future refills. Again, that's code LEPKEYSLIFE to get 15% off starter kits. All that information is linked in the description box below. Truly, I could talk about Branch Basics for hours because I just love them so much, but I'm gonna practice some self-control. I'm gonna cut myself off there. And again, thank you so much, Branch Basics, for sponsoring today's video. It had been a very cloudy and rainy week, and the sun seemed to be trying to pop out a little bit, and it looked almost nice enough to go for a walk. I figured we should probably get out of the house a little bit if we can. The van was in the shop being repaired again. We've repaired it probably like 3 or 4 times this month alone. So with Zach working with our second vehicle and the van gone at the shop, there was no way for us to actually leave the house unless we went for a walk. So I figured, let's try and get out of the house, let's go for a little bit of a walk. But it wasn't all that nice, and so this walk didn't last very long. We put in the effort and we got a little bit of fresh air. When we got back, it was time for Annabeth to fall asleep. She was actually starting to talk herself to sleep in the stroller, and so as soon as we got home, I transferred her from the stroller into her crib. And I checked on my buns and they were ready to be put into the oven. So I brushed them with an egg wash and sprinkled them with some sesame seeds, and then popped those into the oven so that they would be ready for the evening. Now we're making granola bars. This is something I've been trying to do on a weekly basis. Sometimes I do it twice a week, sometimes I forget, but I'm trying to make more of our snacks at home because snacks from the store are just so expensive, especially if you want to get snacks that have good clean ingredients. Granola bars are surprisingly easy to make, and so I'm really trying to just get into the habit of doing it more often. They're also a huge hit in my family. Like, my kids love them, Zach loves them, I love them. They're really easy to make. They're easy for my kids to help me make. I've been playing around with different recipes and variations of recipes. If I can find a recipe similar, I'll link it down below. But once I nail down this recipe, I'm gonna share it on my blog. Now my bread dough was ready to be divided and shaped. I was trying to be very careful with this dough because I've heard that whole grain, like freshly milled wheat, the kernels almost act like tiny razor blades, and if the dough is handled too rough, it can actually cut a lot of those air bubbles that you just spent hours trying to achieve. And so I was just trying to be very gentle and create tension and shape my loaf as gently as possible. Lunch today was a snacky lunch, just a bunch of random stuff from the fridge, sandwiched meat and cheese and cucumbers. The kids have really been loving hard-boiled eggs lately. We've been getting these free-range eggs from a local farm, and you can just tell the quality is far superior than anything that I can buy from the grocery store. It is at this time, usually after a meal, that I just kind of crash, and I feel like I just need to sit and have a moment because I've been going, and then I sit down and I eat a meal and I'm full and I'm satisfied, and then I don't want to get up. I knew it would be a good idea to take a break, but my initial first reaction was to reach for my phone and mindlessly scroll for a while. But I knew it would be far more beneficial for me to sit down and read my Bible instead. So before I started cleaning anything up, I went and I got my Bible and I just sat down and read for a while. During this time, I had sent the kids into quiet time. We're not very official with quiet time anymore. It's more like quiet playtime. William isn't even having naps anymore. He's at the point where he could use a nap, but if he does nap, then he's not really sleeping well at night, or it takes him longer to fall asleep at night, and so it's honestly just easier to have him awake in the afternoon and playing with his siblings. I forgot that this was the tea towel that we were using to shell our eggs, and I dumped it all over the floor. So I had to clean that up first before I went and threw that in the garden. The afternoons used to be a time where I would sit down and do some computer work because my kids were napping and I had some quiet time. But now that my kids really aren't napping anymore, and now that I've hired an editor to do a lot of the editing for me, my afternoons look a little bit different now. Instead of sitting down to do computer work, I am often moving around the home, doing some laundry, doing some cleaning. I might be cooking. Sometimes I'll work on a project. Sometimes we'll do some schoolwork. Afternoons now are more of a catch-up time for me, catching up on things that I didn't get done in the morning. And then also preparing myself for supper time and the evening. Sometimes it does look like sitting down and doing some emails or other computer work. It varies. It looks different day to day. It was time for a little afternoon pick-me-up, so I made myself a coffee before I started doing a toy rotation. We had recently taken the play gym out of here and moved it downstairs. Now that summer is right around the corner, we're going to be outside a whole lot more. And so I decided just to move some other things around. I took down some more of the party decor. Now that we have this homeschool cabinet in this space, I've been starting to move things around. We got this cute little rotating shelf in the corner and I love it there. I feel like our playroom, after how many years of living here, is finally starting to come together. This space is constantly changing as my kids grow up and as we add more kids to our family and as their play changes. I have some ideas for this space, but I'm trying very hard to just keep it open so that I have the ability to change things as I need to. One of William's favorite things to do right now is to play with kinetic sand and Hot Wheel cars. Since the sensory table wasn't really being used right now, I decided to make him a more permanent spot to play with his kinetic sand and Hot Wheels cars. Whenever I do a toy rotation, I try to make sure that there is something specific for each child in the rotation that is suited specifically for them. And already it was time to get supper started. But before I get supper started, I always clean the kitchen. I feel like I can't cook until the dishes are put away. When my space is clutter-free, my brain is clutter-free. And so it just helps so much to do these 10-minute tidy-ups throughout the day. And again, this is why I like to do dishes constantly instead of allowing them to pile up. My bread was ready to go in the oven. My buns had turned out really well. I was so happy with them. And my bread was looking really good too. I was a little bit nervous about how this was gonna go because this is my first time using freshly milled flour for yeast doughs, like breads and buns. I was just so excited that it actually worked. Annie's routine was a little bit off this day. She had stayed up a little bit longer than usual in the morning, and then she had a little bit of a longer morning nap. So normally she eats with us, but because of her off routine, she ate a little bit before having one last late nap. Which was fine because I knew that Zach was going to be home a little bit later today, so we were going to have a later supper anyway. So because I had made burger buns earlier that day, I was now making homemade burgers. And I don't have a recipe for this. I just do what my mom did growing up. And she would always add an egg and some breadcrumbs or oats into ground beef. And then the seasonings she used were garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, and then she threw in condiments like mustard and ketchup and barbecue sauce. That's what I grew up with, and that's how I make my burgers now. Plan A was to cook these inside just on a pan, but Zach called and offered to throw those on the barbecue as soon as he got home. So while I was waiting for him to get home, I quickly did another 10-minute pickup. Lately, I've been trying very hard to manage my time as wisely as possible. I've realized that a lot of my time in a day is just mindlessly wasted. And I'm trying very hard to utilize these little pockets of time to be productive and to get things done. Even if I'm not physically like cleaning or doing something, if I'm sitting and reading my Bible, like that's a lot more productive than just mindlessly scrolling on my phone, you know? My prayer is that my time would be used wisely in a way that honors the Lord and brings glory to Him. So instead of allowing the dishes to wait until after supper, I went ahead and washed them beforehand so that we could go ahead and enjoy our evening after supper without first having to clean up. Zach got the burgers barbecued and I assembled supper. We ate, we enjoyed our evening together, and we went to bed. And that's where I'm going to end today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.